What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? Hope all is well with everybody. Welcome to today's show. I will start off with a story like I always start off every episode. I want to say I was maybe about 10 years old. I was old enough to know that I should be in school. So I knew how to kind of manipulate and sneak around the house, but I went into my parents' bedroom and went into the master bathroom, and in that master bathroom there was a medicine cabinet. On the top shelf, I remember getting on my tippy toes, reaching up, feeling for this specific piece of material, and when I grab it, I would grab it, and Milton mentioned it in the last episode, my brother, I would put it on my middle tooth, and I would walk around like my dad, right? It's a gold tooth. I'm talking in the mirror. I have all the swag sauce, and I didn't do that because I wanted a gold tooth or because I was addicted to gold. I did it because I wanted to be just like my father. Today, I want to welcome you to the I Am Alpha podcast. Today, I have always a special guest, but this one is my pop, so I'm going to call him all special in all caps. So I want to welcome everybody that's on. If you haven't already shared this, definitely share this one. You have a treat for what we're going to discuss today. And also, if you haven't subscribed, we want to welcome you to this channel, but also make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. Homie G.
Yo.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here, man.
So you watched the show, right?
Yeah, I'm watching. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Today, today's unique because I believe it's anticipated for a lot of people to see you, meet you, right? This is when I say homie G, I'm always referring to my dad, but I think this is anticipated because I've spoke so much about you, Milton, my friends, and a lot of the viewers have this ideal of who you are. So it's going to be really cool for them to see you today.
All right, good. I'm glad to be here.
He wears a lot of hats, right? Obviously, he's my dad, but he's always been our mechanic, our plumber, our air conditioner man. He's our pastor, mentor, everything. So today, man, I want us to just let loose and do what we do.
All right,
cool.
good.
So today's subject title, what we open up with for the last couple of episodes, and this will be the last episode of this subject title. But before I do so, we have to do a toast. You wanted Aquafina water. Why did you want water? Between Scotch, Hennessy, soda, why did you choose water today?
Aquafina water is something I drank because it's sodium. Don't have sodium in it.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I drank, because we eat so much sodium.
Yeah.
I'm just really watching what I eat.
Yeah.
And drink.
Well, is this something you've been doing, or is this something you just picked up on water?
Yeah, I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years. I was doing smart water, high alkaline water for a while.
Yeah.
But I switched to Aquafina. I like it. That's the only kind of water I like.
Yeah. Well, let's do a cheers to it. Let's pop it open. Bottles popped open, baby. Shout out to my dad. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm still learning. He already drinking before the toast, man. That's not how you do it. But I love you, man.
Okay, I'm thirsty.
I also brought me some sweet tea. For those that don't know, I love sweet tea. So it's going to kind of be my go-to move today when I finish my water. But subject title, did your father raise you? That's where we'll start with. Did your father raise you?
Yes, off and on, yes.
Okay.
He always was in close proximity to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
He was in and out, but he did it. He fed it. He took care of it. That's one thing he did. He really took care of it.
Yeah. Shout out to Grandpa, man.
Yeah, for financially, he took care of all that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to dive into your experience, right, in life. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure between the conversation of you and I, a lot of people are going to pick up on, number one, the things that you've been through, whether you conquered it or didn't conquer it, but a lot of things that you've done that I've learned from, and they probably heard that from the multiple episodes prior to this where, man, he went through that. That's maybe why Chris or Milton or whoever does what they do. This is 2021.
All right.
November, the last day, is your birthday. You will be turning 70, right?
Yes,
so let's start at 1951 to be exact. Let's start there. As a child growing up, tell everybody a little bit about your household. Who was there? How many brothers? How many sisters?
Well, it depends on how far you want me to go back. I can go back pretty far in memory, back to, matter of fact, kindergarten.
Well, start with how many brothers and sisters you have.
Okay, I had 8 sisters and 3 brothers.
That's a lot. And where were you in the chain?
I was probably number, let's see, 3, 4.
That's when you know you're part of
probably number 6.
Number 6.
Yeah.
That's when you start counting with your fingers. You know you have a lot of siblings.
Yeah, I'm probably number 6.
And you're the middle boy, right?
No, yeah, almost. We were 4 boys. So
4 boys.
Yeah, 4 boys. So
Okay.
Me and brother with the last 2.
So Baby Joe.
It's the baby.
You.
I mean,
Wiggy.
John.
I didn't know John.
Yeah, but something happened to him early.
Okay, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm learning something today, guys, on the podcast, and that's what it's about. Okay. Yeah. And then out of the siblings, you were the 4th to youngest. You had Baby Joe, younger than you, Aunt Val.
Well, and Rose.
And Rose.
And then me.
Then you. So you're 4th to the youngest.
Yeah, and then Elaine.
Then Elaine. Cool. And I'm hoping some of those, my aunts are on. I seen Aunt Rose shared this a while ago. So you being one of 4 of the boys and numerous amount of girls, what was that like growing up in a household with a lot of girls?
Since I got older, it's real cool.
Yeah.
Because it was counting my mother, it was 8 women in the house.
Counting your mom, 8 women in the house. 8
women in the house. So I learned all of them had different attitudes.
Yeah.
And I learned how to get along with all of them.
Yeah.
You know, we never really fell out about nothing, you know.
As you're older? Or younger too?
Older and the younger.
Okay.
I got along with every one of them, you know, and that really, you know, that was turned to me to be a plus.
Yeah.
You know,
what's some of the things you can think of that was like, thinking back to when you were younger, what's some of the things y'all did for fun or whatnot?
We played, I always played church.
Mm-hmm. Really?
We played church because we
That's funny.
was all brothers and sisters. We couldn't play mom and daddy, so we played church.
Yeah.
And, it's funny to say, I was always the preacher.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, you know, growing up, so we called our grandmother Mother. Mm-hmm. Mother took y'all to church. I'm guessing that's how y'all was raised as well.
Oh, yeah. It got to be mandatory for me until I got about 12.
Yeah. So that's funny to hear. I never knew that y'all played church because my little sister Desi, she used to sit in the living room. We had I forgot, Kirby vacuum cleaning, and she would grab the handle and she'd be preaching, and she'd have my G.I. Joes or our G.I. Joes as an audience, and Desi would be preaching the word to everybody. So that's kind of cool. The fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. Yeah. With sisters. Pastor Sean Wilburn, shout out to Sean for being on the I Am Alpha podcast. He mentioned something about how it was I'm not going to go in depth on the language that his father used for him, but in essence, his father told him, because he always around his mother and kind of just women, that he was going to turn out a certain way, more feminine, right? Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear something similar, or did you ever experience?
Almost the exact same word.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, you know, and
hear this, Sean. That's kind of cool. I don't know if Sean know this.
Yeah, my dad, he drank, and that's the first thing he said, because I had a couple uncles. Mm-hmm. On my mother's side was like that.
Okay. So when we say like that, we're talking about gay, right?
Guy,
okay.
Yeah. So, like, you'll be just like your uncles, you know. And I'm like, wow. But then that pushed me another direction, though, because at the early age, I wanted to prove.
You wanted to prove
that I wouldn't be like that, you know. So that made me start, you know, getting, you know, messing with girls early. Yeah. You know.
So it wasn't necessarily a desire like, hey, I want to mess with all these women. It was more like
trying to prove to him that I wasn't gonna be there, you know, because that wasn't in my heart, you know. Yeah. But anyway, I heard it from. I'll be honest, I heard that. And
I think that's so cool.
It might have been psychological too.
Yeah.
To accuse you so you wouldn't.
Huh.
You know.
You wouldn't know.
So I don't know. I took it both ways.
I think it's
psychological, or it could have been just thinking that.
I think it's so beneficial for everyone to hear this, because for Sean and my dad, it was used as a terminology of a way that you may be, whether it's more feminine or whatnot, but a lot of us hear things like, you're going to be just like your dad, or you're going to be just like your mom, or if you don't straighten up in school, you're going to be in a certain type of class. A lot of us hear these verbal declarations over your life, and I want you to know that when they said that, it could have been, like you said, saying it so you wouldn't do it, or it could have been more so, maybe you said sometimes he might have been a little drunk or whatnot. It could have been all these other reasons, but my reason for pointing this out right now is not for you to stop and say you can or cannot, but what you can control is that when you speak over the youth of your life, then you need to be very mindful of the things that you say. You might put them in a position to explore or not explore, right? And going back to your childhood, I think it's so cool to see you and Anna Lane and Aunt Rose, how y'all are, still tight, and the way y'all communicate. Were y'all all that tight when you were younger? Because like me and Milton, a lot of people don't know. A lot of y'all think Milton younger than me, which is cold-blooded. Milton's 7 years older than me. He just looked real good. Age gaps, right? Between me and Milton is 7 years. Between Desi and Milton is 10 years, right? Between you and your sisters, all of y'all are not 2-3 years in between each other. What was that like growing up with someone 10 years older in your household? Were they more big sister or big brother, or more almost like a parent as you were younger, then y'all got closer?
Like a parent, they're a sister, but they were so much older than you that they really, they deal with you, speak with you high, and do some nice things for you sometimes, you know. But it was, I think the last 5 of us was I want to say 6 to me. 6 of us was really close.
Because y'all age,
Age. We were closer, was age. I don't even remember Lenore.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Lenore was.
Who's the oldest? The twins, right?
Twins the oldest.
Yeah. So, I have twin boys. So my dad, the 2 older sisters were twins.
But it says every other generation we said a twin born in the family. So you was the other generation after me.
Yeah. So now that you look back, Dad, I'm always curious to see the household question. And what I mean by the household question, Larry, Sean, every single person, Danny, everybody that came on, Milton, we always look back to our old house, and it seemed like this big mansion, but when you go back to it, it wasn't as big as we thought. Talk to me about that. Did y'all grow up in a 10-bedroom mansion?
No, it was I'm older. As the older got older, we felt I looked back at the house and said, boy, that was a small house we all of us lived in. But it was really a situation where we felt proud of that house because we was the only person in the neighborhood that owned property.
Really?
Everybody else was renters.
Really?
So, we felt proud of that, that was a good thing. We had our own house, we do what we wanted to do to it, build what we wanted to build in the yard or whatever,
Yeah.
And but when I got about 18, that's when I realized, man,
that house wasn't that big.
Boy, we made it. Yeah,
Yeah.
But that was cool, though.
And we live in Houston, Texas. This is where you grew up. Let's talk a little bit about the neighborhood you grew up in. Where we grew up at?
I grew up Fifth Ward.
Yeah.
Fifth Ward, I call it God country.
Yeah, Anna Lane would say God's country.
Yeah, God's country, yeah.
So for those that live in in Houston, or you know where that is, but for those that don't, that's the inner city right by downtown. How was that like in, let's talk about the 60s and 70s. What was Fifth Ward like at that time?
Well, it had a lot of business ran out there. It was out neighborhood that people ran business in the neighborhood. And it was good, cool. It was okay. It was times changed with with advancement, time change with technology too.
Yeah. So
it's a different world out there now, but it's still a lot of people out there that is good people.
Yeah.
Good people.
So when you were 50, you're born in 51, right? So as we get into like the late 50s, early 60s, you're kind of getting to that age where you're 10, 12, 13 years old. Man, I don't know the exact years, but there was segregation at that time, right? We were still dealing with a lot of civil rights movements. And I'm going to get to the subject title, Did Your Father Raise You? But I really want to set a really solid foundation for everybody. Okay. So with segregation, I know this, but I would like for you to share with everybody that's listening and watching. When did you notice, oh man, I live in an all-black neighborhood, or I'm not supposed to go in certain restaurants or whatnot?
I didn't. I never was taught that. I always felt free to go anywhere I wanted to go, I remember one time I got about 12, I was looking for a job, and anyway, I had to go out in Bel Air. I didn't know how to get there. And I just looked at the map, seen Holcomb turning to Bel Air.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get off the bus and walk down Holcomb till it turned to Bel Air and find this restaurant. Make a long story short, I passed the bread man, and he passed me up, son, me bread man.
Yeah.
And he was a young white guy. And he finally stopped and said, man, where you going? I
Yeah.
told him, I said, I'm going to this place at 5600 block. I had 56 blocks to walk to.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to the place at 5600 block. About there, he said, what that sign say on my truck? It said, no riders. He said, I want you to get back in with this bread because you ain't supposed to be out here. I didn't know what that man
Really?
was talking about, really. Because I always worked. I always worked. I didn't watch the news and things like that. I didn't know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And I never was taught hate. And when I found that out, I was like in Twilight Zone, you know, because I had seen the news, and this like in 63, I might have been, 12?
Yeah.
And I watched the news and it was riding and stuff, and I was in the Twilight Zone, man.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on in this world? And I was glad I was raised like that, because I never distinguished myself between any other person, a human being. God made everybody.
Yeah. I think that's so awesome that grandma raised y'all that way, to not look at, especially I think now it's more open where racism is being, and we're going to hold an episode on this specifically. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I think that now with social media, a lot of racism is now being captured and now being publicized, I can't even say it, publicized. And seen, right? Mm-hmm. So now parents are more, no matter what culture they're raised in, now they should be more attentive to teaching their child love versus skin color. So at that time, I think it's really unique that mother was able to do that, because I'm not gonna lie, if I was a father in the 50s and the 40s and I've been through what they were going through or seen what my parents or grandparents went through, it's easy and natural for me to teach the same thing that I've been seeing. So shout out to grandma in heaven that taught y'all in a way to not look and judge people by the neighborhood or the color of their skin, but by love.
But I look at that, but in my opinion, the reason a lot of that is still going on now is because of the movies, the stuff that get the high ratings.
Yeah. Television, as Shannon was saying.
Television. You look at the mega black church.
Yeah.
Everybody going with everybody in the church.
Yeah.
You look at the rich people, they thugs.
Yeah.
You look at the other rich guys, they dope dealers.
Yeah.
So that's how it's stereo. So you get a lot of people coming in this country and they watch TV. They're really scared of black people.
Yeah.
They're really scared of them.
Because of what is portrayed on TV.
Yeah, like they're gonna do something to them or something.
We ain't all thugs. We ain't all thugs.
Yeah, we ain't all thugs, but that's what portrayed on TV, and that's what get the highest rating.
Yeah,
and if you say no watching TV, you're scared.
That's right.
I used to watch the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I went and got a gun permit.
Really?
And I said, what I'm carrying a gun for?
That's in Dallas, right?
Huh?
That's in Dallas?
No, the next 48 hours all over.
Okay. I know one of them is in Dallas.
But you program, you look at your network, and the network will have you almost scared to come out your house.
Yeah. But look, I don't want to dive too much in that, because it's going to be a whole series.
Okay.
So going back, just a couple quick hitters before we kind of go into fatherhood. Just out of curiosity, as a young black kid in the inner city, what was it like witnessing and seeing and hearing the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy? Do you remember those moments?
I remember the moments, but when you were saying that, I thought about before that happened. Kennedy got killed in, I think, in 63, and Martin Luther King got killed in 68. I was a teenager. But I go back when I was 8 years old. We lived next to a railroad track, and we went to the church at nighttime. And I was walking down the railroad track, and my parents were walking ahead of me, and I was walking back by myself, and I used to see my uncle do it all the time. They walk and pee,
Yeah.
And I was trying to walk in and pee at the same time. See, could I do that? I was 8 years old. Man, police turned that corner, man, and shining light on me and said, hey, boy, and I got ready to run. I heard it.
Yeah.
They had a shotgun on me, man. I just stayed froze, man.
Wow, I bet.
My mother came back and talked to him, and they really talked bad to us. And she really talked humble to them. And you take him home, you discipline, this is bad. And she just got in the house, started crying. She didn't, it was just.
That's rough, man. I think.
I didn't know why. I said, ooh, peeing must be bad, you know. You can throw a gun on you for peeing.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have been peeing, but at the same time, you don't have to pull a shotgun on somebody. I get it. They might have thought you had a weapon and all.
Yeah, I know. I think
some of y'all caught the joke.
Yeah, I know.
But no, man, I think that, transparency of what was going on as a child before we even get into fatherhood, because the things that Grandpa had to go through as a father is not the same things that I have to go through as a father. I could not imagine dealing with going to the bus and having to sit to the back of the bus, or going to the back of certain restaurants to get food. Like if I get hungry and the twins are hungry, I drive to Chick-fil-A and I get them some fries. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I just wanted to kind of set the scenario before we dive in a little bit by Grandpa. So now with Grandpa, you said he's a green man. We're real big on security, real big on providing. And that's something he's always done. Mm-hmm. And I know for fact, guys, if y'all ever go out to eat with my dad, you're not gonna pay for the food. It's just you're gonna have to arm wrestle him to split the pay or whatnot. And I'm guessing part of that came from seeing Grandpa do that. Mm-hmm. What is that true? Is something that you remember him doing financially, where he was like, man, I'm gonna do that like my dad?
Mm-hmm. I saw his brothers do it too.
All green man.
Yeah, all green man. Percy Shepherd. And, you know, I used to hang out.
Shout out to Shepherd, man.
I used to go to Louisiana and hang out with him. You know, I was young. You know,
yeah.
He'd take me to the club everywhere. I like 17 years old.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So they do that. You didn't pay for nothing. You know, and I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I like tipping.
Well, do you think that it? I'm curious, out of curiosity myself. Do you remember something that Grandpa did financially and he paid for, where you were like, I'm gonna do that? Is it like a memory, or you just?
Well, it was like he took care of his kids. Bottom line, I mean, Christmas was a beautiful time. That's why we still celebrate Christmas the way we do.
Yeah.
Everybody got something, you know, and it was like kids in the neighborhood that didn't get nothing for Christmas, you know. That was a big thing, you know. You're a little kid and you get everything you ask for, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get it before Christmas. You know?
Keep going, man. Milton is a little late, guys. So
okay.
I'm just opening the front door for him because I'm on live. But hey, Milton.
What's up?
All right. So when you think of some of the things maybe Grandpa didn't do, and I think this is where a lot of people are going to be able to connect.
Okay.
Before I go though, when I say don't do, I want to break it down. So
Okay.
my goal with you guys today is nowhere in the world that this is not a documentary on my dad, right? I'm just really trying to get some quick hitters. So you don't got to go too far in depth about it, each one, but I want to be able to cover a lot. And Milton, you can just you can flip that lens back if you want to, and focus and not focus, zoom and not zoom. So when I say some of the things, I want to break them down specifically. When it came to sports, extracurricular activities, being around the house, can we talk about that first?
Well, I participate in sports.
Okay.
Nobody. I had one uncle that, checked me out on the radio and stuff.
On the radio?
Yeah, on the radio, because he was, older. Anyway, but after he checked out, I lost interest in sports. Like I remember telling the coach, he said, well, we get the Super Bowl ring. I said, yeah, when you get the Super Bowl ring, I'm going to get the diamond ring.
Yeah. Which is interesting because
that's why I supported y'all and what y'all did.
That's what I wanted to say. If y'all remember in the last couple episodes, I don't remember too many games without my mother or father there. Mm-hmm. So now that it's cool for you guys to hear from, I hate to say the term horse's mouth, but let me ask you this. If you can go back to the 10, 12, 14, 16-year-old Milton, if Grandpa could have been there, because he was probably working, but if he could have been there, you think you would have played sports longer?
I might have. I would come home hurting. What's wrong with you? I hurt my leg again.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I'm saying.
Yeah. So I
don't think there's interest in that, because back at that time, you had heroes like Jim Brown and Bob Hayes, Dallas Cowboy, Jim Brown, Cleveland Brown. Very few. In my neighborhood, the people that was looked up to was the pimps and the prostitutes.
Yeah.
They had the diamond rings, the Cadillacs, and all the money and all that, and that was a lot of people, try to portray was that type of lifestyle.
Yeah. So with Grandpa not being at the games, that didn't necessarily dictate whether you wanted to play sports or not.
No, by me having no support in the family whatsoever.
Okay.
Then that made me not interested in it, because nobody else knew what I was doing.
Okay. And what about the household? You mentioned sometimes when it came to alcohol, especially as a green man, I know I know the challenge that it is as a green man, because we got a little Indian in our blood, and maybe you can break that down a little bit more for everybody that's listening. But yeah, let's go there. Is it
My opinion? This is my opinion, strictly. My mother's side of the family, her mother had Choctaw Indian. Okay. None of my uncles on that side of the family could handle alcohol. Now on the green side of the family, they could handle alcohol.
Okay.
You know, it was just a different thing. I think the other side couldn't handle alcohol because they had Indian blood in them. You know, one of them called himself Black Billy the Kid. You know, he was good with a knife and all that. You know,
what was it? Black
Billy the Kid.
I'm gonna use it as a workout name.
with a knife though. He was good with a knife though.
Okay.
You know, they were World War II veterans too, and that had a lot to do with it because they still, you know, talked a lot about what happened to them overseas.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I looked at that as generational. We can go to one generation another now. I call myself.
But before we go in too deep there,
okay.
Because I don't want to go off.
Okay.
About Grandpa. Remember I was talking a little bit about being there or not there. So I know we talking about alcohol and how it does with the green blood and as it come to men. Is that something that you've seen that affected Grandpa potentially? With alcohol not being there?
No, not being there. But him and my mother get into it, and then he'll move out, and he'll move out, but he'll move right in the same neighborhood, you know, right down the street.
So how did that?
He was still there, you know. You can go to his house, you go to that house.
Right.
And I stayed with her, you know. So it wasn't that he disappeared and moved out and was gone.
Yeah.
No way he worked, no way he stayed, you know, and it wasn't never gone. But he still sent money down there. He sent, you know, a lot of times he sent his whole check down there. Wouldn't even cash it.
Yeah. And for me, I've never dealt with alcohol being a reason why Tina and I got into it or we argue in front of the kids, because personally, honestly, I didn't witness that with my father and my mother. Now, of course, they got into it, but I didn't necessarily see them get into it because of alcohol. Now, again, I could have been younger and they could have done it, but you tell me, homie, is that something that you did? Because now, listen before he answer. Grandpa, as you mentioned, it's been times they argue because of alcohol. I don't have that challenge. Is that because of my father? If he says yes, he stopped doing that or he remembered doing that or seeing his father do that, that's the reason why he didn't do it in front of us, then that was a curse broken, right? We talked about that in earlier episodes. However, if he didn't even notice it and then I'm just doing it, then I'm breaking the curse. But I'm pretty curious to see your response. Did you not do that and argue when it came to alcohol or not intake alcohol that way because of what you've seen between mother and grandpa?
Well, I looked at the whole family, not just them, but the family before them. And, you know, and I looked at it as being generational. You know, you pass one thing to the next generation. So I looked at myself, you know, because back in my early party days, you know, I drank the alcohol like I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And then, but when I got two little boys growing up and kids imitate parents. Yeah. And I can do this and I can raise these kids up to be like this and they do the same thing. So I had to stop that, you know, just for that purpose, you know. And then I was saying breaking generation curse.
That's it, 100%. Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping you guys see. You can keep it wide, Milton, unless you want to go super zoom. That's what I want you guys to see in the conversation of what I'm talking about. It's so important and it's so crucial that you understand that when you see something, you can be the change in your family. Oh, yes. And what I'm getting to with my dad, it's kind of practical for people to drink, right? It's taught, especially when it comes to advertisement. We see so much sensation and fun and joy when it comes to commercial and seeing people having a great time when they drink alcohol. So we're programmed to do it, but the effect that it takes on your family, if you notice it, that is becoming disturbing and is causing more pain than it should, then that's when you can actually be the person that break it. You said something to me that I definitely want to dive in. You said your party days. So a lot of times when we talk to my dad at the age of 69 going to 70, it's like, oh, he's so mature. He's never made a mistake. He's never said anything. I would love to kind of talk about the gold tooth I talked about early and the name, Chili. So we all know him as pastor or pops. Let's talk a little bit about Chili. I think it'll be fun. Where did the name Chili come from? Who gave it to you?
I think guy I went to school with. And then later he just gave Chili, and then he added, later when I got older people, they had Green on it. So
Chili Green.
Chili Green on it. And that was just a name they picked up, you know. But what I didn't know, when I got a job, they asked me what was my nickname. And I just thought they were just interviewing me. But when they hired me, they gave me a badge, and my badge had Chili on it.
Really?
So my manager, one of the managers I had said, I was just thinking, what was your mother thinking about when she named you Chili?
So the chemical plant, they put Chili on there?
Yeah, that's refinery. I went to refinery first.
Wow, I didn't know they had Chili on there.
Chili on there, big letters, C-I-L-L-Y.
So you have this iconic story and or iconic response to me and the siblings when you pull up to the club. Can you tell me how the club experience was when you would pull up? Let's see, Milton, if he get loose with it.
Well, certain clubs I went to, you know.
I want to know the club, the 20. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Now, when I went to the 20 grand.
Yeah, tell me that story.
20 grand club, then I had a new car.
Yeah.
And I went parking in the parking lot. I parked right in front of the club.
There we go.
Emergency flashes on where everybody could see out the window of my car. Flashes quickly out there, you know. That was crazy, you know. But then when I went out to Galleria to eat, that was a different world. I liked going out there because there'd be a long line there. And when I walk up, he was just, come on, you come on in, you know. Like, it made me feel like a celebrity,
I made this comment to Larry Brooks. For those that watched Paid in Full, that was my dad walking to the club. Everybody want to buy him drinks. DJs probably give him a shout out. Were we bald head then with a fade, or did we have the afro? What was that like?
Well, I had the afro then.
Yeah.
I had the big afro,
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, but you know, I was very careful of that,
Of the afro?
And I was very careful of people sending me drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I said, I thank them, but I set them down, I would never drink them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see the bartender fix it, you ain't sending me nothing like that. That was one of the things you learn.
True story. He always told all of us that, you know, if somebody ever give you a drink, you never drink from it. And this has nothing to do about, no, it has everything to do about did your father raise you. My father told me that, and one time I didn't do that. I don't even know if you know this. I know Milton know, but man, I remember, shout out to my girl Britt. We were like 20, 21. It was off Main Street. I can't think of the name of the club. But somebody that liked her was buying her all these drinks. I remember the drink was a Hurricane. I don't even drink like that, but they were free. So Britt was like, you want something? I was like, yeah, I want something. So she gave me a Hurricane, and I promise, the next thing I knew, I was laying in my homeboy Steven, aka Taco bed, and with his girlfriend, I just couldn't stop puking. And the crazy thing now, it was so dangerous because that could have been the end of me because I drove home. And I don't remember those thoughts. I remember they dragged me to Milton House, and I'm still puking. And then come to find out, that guy was putting what, I don't know the term, but it was like a date rape drug in the drink. So, yeah, they were putting it in for Brittany, but thought she was going to drink it, not knowing that I got it. Yeah. So I'm glad I took one for the team, Britt, but I didn't goodness, I didn't want it like that. But kind of going back to our subject title, Did Your Father Raise You? That's one of the things out of several that my father taught me and my siblings over and over that I didn't implement and listen to. And I would have never went through that if I would have just listened and was coachable.
Same thing with food, though.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, I got ancestors from Louisiana, so they're very choosy about food, too.
Yeah.
And I learned that on that side of the family. Yeah. You know.
You got to be careful, though.
Don't let nobody
you definitely got to be careful. So going back to Chili, what was that like? I know you married and all that now, but you wasn't always married. What was that like being Chili and being single?
It was okay. It was okay. You know, it was okay. I just did a lot of crazy stuff that you do, you know. And I think about it, like, what's the word said, bring them up in the way they should go. When they get old, they want to depart from it.
Yeah.
I think I brought up in the church, but when I got in my 20s, early 20s, I was kind of wild until I got married at 23.
Which happens to a lot of people.
I mean, I went out to the club, you know, and I even had a rack in my trunk of my car. Sometimes I could be out at the club and stay out too late. And I pull on the side of the road, pop my trunk, change clothes, and go to work.
What kind of car you had?
I had a Grand Prix.
Grand Prix had a little closet in the back?
No, it had a long, it was big. It was long. It was long as a Cadillac is now.
And my dad, if y'all haven't noticed, always super clean, nice clothes on. So I know he probably had everything in that trunk.
I thought I was cool back then, you know.
I'm gonna bring back a memory to you, and this is something that it's a movie called I don't know, the main actor is by Will Ferrell, and his name is Ricky Bobby. And I think I've told this story before, but the guy lived his whole life because his dad told him, if you're not first, you're last.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he got older and he seen his dad, he was like, man, I did it, Dad. If you're not first, you're not last. He was like, where'd you learn that crap from? And he was like, you taught it to me. He was like, I didn't teach you that. He's like, you told me this when I was, X, Y, Z. He's like, I was either high or drunk, son. He was like, Dad, I lived my whole life off of that.
Yeah.
So this next part, I'm not lying to you when I say this. I always wanted to do this. I just wasn't cool enough or player enough. So hopefully I'm not putting you too much on the stage, but with the audience on I Am Alpha, they know how authentic we get. You always told me in Milton how when you were dating that your sisters would keep your messages because you had so many women calling. You kind of used to, you used to be player. Can you talk a little bit about how that was structured? Who was answering the phone? I want to know.
I don't know if I need to call no names.
Here you go.
Those were wild days. That's why I said wild days.
Yeah.
Wild days you do.
Well, a lot of people right now are in their wild days, so that's why we're connecting with them.
Well, that was silly. I mean, looking back to me, that was silly in my behalf, But it wasn't nothing out to call AIDS now like it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was nothing you really didn't. I don't know. I don't too much want to talk about that.
I'll pick up the rest of it for him. Milton is real shaky when you do that. From a standpoint of looking back and creating a positive route for your kids, obviously you definitely don't. You don't want to put people in position to make silly mistakes because you thought it was fun at that time, right? So for me, I've done my fair share. Now, obviously, I'm married to Tina. I would never dare do anything crazy like that. But not that I was trying to imitate the wildness. I just thought it was so cool because my dad was just like fun. And the reason why I brought that story up wasn't to necessarily talk about being crazy. It was actually almost an introduction to how Mama kind of won part of y'all.
Yeah, she stopped all that.
Yeah, so that's where I was getting to with it.
Okay, she stopped all that.
So just to kind of finish it up, and then we'll go on to the next part.
Well, I can tell you that part.
All right.
Okay. Now, one thing I learned about that wasn't a good thing. And when y'all started going out as young men, I would make sure y'all had money.
Yeah.
And don't never let a woman pay for your stuff.
Yeah.
Because that was something that I didn't want to see y'all doing.
Yeah.
And that's what man's supposed to do. If you ain't got a whole lot of money, let's go to Whataburger. Eat a burger. You ain't got to go to Papa's every time you go out. But anyway, that's one thing I wanted to put in y'all mind. That was something that I did for a while. And I quit working, changed my name, and I was just, living on the land.
Yeah.
But when I ran in Miss Edna changed all that. One of my sisters was getting my phone call. She was my secretary. Said, let's stop that. Give me the numbers. Let them start calling me, And I know the phone calls and all that stopped, but I was kind of glad. I was sick of that kind of life.
Yeah.
And she stopped all that. And that really pulled me out of the streets, really.
Yeah.
And then we, later we got married, and then we started, getting closer, learning more about God.
Yeah.
And that's what God really, one thing about it, I think we never would have been married we were together 40 years, but we never would have been married 38 years if God hadn't been in there.
Yeah. And with the marriage specifically, and that's another obviously episode that we're going to have, and we're going to really break down the doctrine from, I like the book, 5 Love Languages, really break it down from that. But just to spend a little time on marriage, I said this in one of the last episodes. I said that my dad made marriage look cool, made it look fun, made it look like something I wanted to do. So obviously as a kid that grew up in the 80s to the 90s, we were taught from the shows and the rap artists that we need to be player. And if I didn't have a father figure like my dad, I would have definitely probably continued that path or wanted to be that path, but because of my dad, he made marriage look cool. But as we're kind of flowing through your lifespan of, from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, I would love, if you're open to it, to talk a little bit about how you went from being single, living at the crib, to going into your first marriage. From a standpoint of, I feel like a lot of people sometimes do things because of a situation.
Oh, yes.
And I'm curious if you'll be open to opening up with that.
Yeah, I was open up to that because I got married to get out of the house. Because every time I tried to get an apartment or something by myself, I was criticized, that I was giving my money to other people and I could be staying there happy. And I've been happy all my life, so it was time to make a move. So that's really true that I got married to get out the house. And the girl I married, she wasn't too, we kind of making a deal because she was getting married to get away from her stepfather and all them cousins and uncles that were trying to attack her, So we kind of I guess that's probably why we didn't stay together, because we really got married other than love, we got married for a purpose,
And everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that, because out of that, my older sister, beautiful Monique, shout out to Monique. Yeah. Definitely had your first birth. And what was that like? When you found out, not the day of the birth, but what was it like knowing that you were about to have your first child? What was your thought?
I wanted to have a girl. I wanted
Really?
to have a girl. I always wanted my first child to be a girl, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was a nice experience,
Yeah.
And blessing come from God. And I want to say this, and not to get into preacher mode, but everybody's born. We're born on purpose, because God said, I know you before you enter in your mother's womb. So if somebody's born on accident, or somebody parent tell you were born on accident, no, you born on purpose. God got a plan for you.
I agree.
And it was in God's plan, and it did not take him by surprise. So
I agree.
You're not an accident. I don't care who I'm talking to. You're not an accident. You were born on purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I want to say about that. I'm still out the preacher mode, though.
No, it's one of those things too. It's a, when you say preacher mode, right? It's easy to say I'm gonna turn it on and turn it off, but what's you is you. You know what I mean? What you believe is what you believe. So that's like me saying, hey, I'm not gonna talk about being healthy today when I believe in, moving and eating correctly. So, but one thing I do want to kind of pick up with what you said, which is unique, because my goal in doing this, Dad, is to catch people in the position that we or you were in, and either you conquered it or you wish you could have did something different. I would love to talk to the person right now that's looking for a standpoint of freedom. You're saying freedom comes from a lot of different things, right? Freedom, I've seen people want to move out their house, so they do X, Y, Z. I've seen people that want to get out of a relationship because they do X, Y, Z. I think we need to dive into the term freedom right now. When you say freedom, moving out the house or whatever, what do you think was one of the best things you ever did in your life to give you freedom?
Well, the best thing in my life to get out of freedom.
To give you freedom.
To give me freedom.
Was it like a sequence?
I think it was in the church. The church, because, you could be in a church where half of the people, some of the people like you, some of the people hate you, and everybody got this clique and that clique, and, and that really was like, to me, that was like, kind of like in prison, like in jail, like, in jail you got people that like you and people hate you. And then, but when church changed for me, I got free, and the scripture said it right. Who the Son set free is free indeed. And I felt free. I enjoy serving. I enjoy helping people. It gets a joy out of you, but when you do stuff grievously, I used to be in, I ain't gonna go to there, but I used to be in church where go to the pastor's house, do all kind of work for him, fix the air conditioning, everything, he did everything. And he get to church and act like he don't even know me, and
That's interesting. Because a lot of times when you think freedom, people would think relationship, but you needed freedom
I was
almost,
freedom in the church because I was like, I was kind of confused. I said, hey, I was more accepted in the club than I am in the church. And, you know, and I'm really balanced out. But then that's where the adversary show you stuff to try to push you back where you come from. I'm moving forward. I'm going to do something different.
I think that's unique.
I would say to some people today, if you're in a church where you're unhappy, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. I think, and also, so when you saying church, but I'm going to say life.
The body of Christ.
Yeah.
A group of people.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm saying you're saying church right now to them, and I just want to extend that as well. I think in life, I think it's so crucial that a lot of us are in very dry places, and you're expecting growth in a desert, but you can't get growth in a desert if it doesn't produce the fruit that you desire. So I need you to, like, I know sometimes, like, I actually remember when my father, we went to, and there's nothing wrong with the domination, but I remember going from that to starting our own ministry in our house, and for him, he's telling you that's a sense of freedom, and I remember that as a kid doing something different I was excited about, and I didn't even know the real reason why we was moving. However, I see a lot of us doing the same thing. I'm in the fitness industry, right? So I see people that don't blossom because they're in this old routine of what somebody told them they would do. I see people that cannot physically see it, so they won't do it, right? So that's where we come in our fitness program where we teach you how to work off your faith. So I just want to encourage you, man, wherever you're at, even if it's not the ideal place, that if it doesn't give you freedom, I want you to fight, man, to get to the place that gives you freedom, because I'm curious where we would have been as a church, not as a church, as a family, if my father wouldn't have made that move for the household to go to a different church. My question to you today is, where will you be if you decided to get out of that dry place? Where would you be if you decided to, look, I'm going to call it how it is. What if you decide to get out of that bad relationship? That relationship that's draining you, literally. What do you do if you get out of that career that's literally draining you? So don't be afraid to move forward. Picking up to where we're at with Did Your Father Raise You? What would you say was a moment where you realized freedom was everything? Was it anything as a man? Because at this time, you have kids. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you can remember where you said, I'm doing this because I have kids, when it comes to freedom? What would that be?
I'm working to support my kids. So I feel that every family should make their generation better than the last generation and teach their kids to make their generation better than what they had. And that's still talking about breaking generation curses, you know. So yes, I think work is something that I consider doing. That was a substantial income, and it took care of the family and took care of my needs. And I didn't try to live above my needs by getting too much. Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that Grandpa did, you know, right? He worked. I don't even know what he did. What did he do?
He ended up driving well pumps all over the country. But a lot of times he worked where they made them. And sometimes he worked in the plant, sometimes he makes some deliveries. Mm. So, you know, when they make the delivery, he did that on overtime.
Yeah.
But work in the plant where they made pumps, that he working there making pumps.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So with Grandpa, I remember being like middle school-ish. I don't know, maybe 13, 14. I remember always riding with you. You told me this the other day. It was fishing trips. I'll get to the fishing trips. But I remember riding with you to Grandpa's house, and it seemed like out of routine, we would go there. And I remember walking into his room. On the left corner, it was his bed. And I remember always getting the chair out. You always get the chair out, and you would cut his hair. Mm-hmm. I remember you cutting his hair, and then on the opposite side of his bed, he kept this big glass vase. And in that glass vase would be just change, pennies, quarters, nickels. And he would always give it to me. And I remember coming home, I have all this change, and Desi and everybody like, where you get all this money from? And you never said, hey, Chris, you got to come or whatnot, but I always had the desire to go. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as you mentioned, grandma and grandfather probably had some differences of opinion, right? But I've never seen you act different based upon whatever the opinion was. I've only seen you act with a sense of honoring your mother and father. I know scripturally and in our faith, that's what we're taught. Is that something that you knew you was installing in me at that age, or is that something you was just doing for you?
That was something that I was trained to do, honor your mother and father, that your days be long upon this earth. And it has a lot to do. And I grew up with boys who cussed their mama out. They're like, man, who are you talking to? They've been lived to be 18, 19 years old. Yeah. So, man, there's some truth in that to me. I seen that. Yeah. I'm like, I always honor. I wanted to honor, regardless. Because one thing I had to look at, they never raised kids before. Yeah. This is their first time raising kids. So you learn from them. Now, what else I learned from my dad? I learned how to take care of family, but I learned how to not treat my woman.
Yeah, and we're gonna get there.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you that question when we get there, because it's such a sensitive topic that I want to make sure we're not bouncing around on it. I want to make sure we dive in it correctly. All right. Now we talked about grandpa. Now with mother, right? I remember us all being in grandma's house and all my aunts and uncles. It seemed like everybody had this utmost honor, respect for grandma. What was it the same thing with grandpa? Is just one of those things, or was it just like, that's my mama and I'm the son? What do you think was that? What was that headspace like for you when it came to your mother?
I think, to me, she raised a house full of preachers. Yeah. Because she would do things and say things, and I paid attention to it. One time I didn't pay attention to it. I got real bad. I got my butt whooped. But anyway, I'm not about her, about more people. Yeah. Anyway, she always talked about God. She walked around the house and break out in a song and start praising God, And and that was the type of atmosphere she did. Everybody went to her for prayer and stuff, and then I learned from that, but I can go there. But you learn from a lot of things, and then to me, she was kind of.
But all the kids were like that.
Though, she was kind of mother and daddy to me, because she grew up with 5 brothers. Yeah. I could talk to her about some things that I couldn't talk to my daddy about, because he would criticize me. Yeah. But she would talk to me and tell me, well, see, if I was you, they always say that, if I was you, so he'll let you make your own decision. Yeah. But if I was you, I see it this way. And sometimes her idea be better than my idea. And I say, oh, that sounds good. Yeah. But I could tell her personal things, that you think you tell the man, you got to tell the woman. So she lit, she lit both of them, mama and daddy.
With that amount of kids, you have to be, to an extent, right? So what kind of going back to what I was saying with when I'm getting there with a point, guys, with honoring your mother and father. It wasn't just you that honored grandma, it was everybody. Yeah. Have you ever had, and I'm asking these questions because I really don't know, was there ever communication between you and Aunt Elaine and Aunt Rose and Baby Joe where, like, hey man, you kind of didn't respect mama the way you should have? Because like right now as a kid, I always looked up. But I remember, and Milton's here, it's been times where one of us didn't act the way that we thought we should have acted with you or mama, and we kind of called each other out. Am I lying, Milton? So I wonder, as a sibling, did you ever have a conversation with any of your siblings to be like, hey man, you're not honoring pops or mother the right way you should?
No, I don't think we had that, because, we kind of was not, coming up, we was not close knit, we didn't have that. We looked out for each other,
Yeah,
we did things together. And then the thing about it, we thought we were rich, man. I really thought we were rich, really, and I got old, I realized we were really poor. Yeah. But that's the kind of attitude my mother instilled in us. You got this and you got that. You can do anything you want to do, be anything you want to be. You ain't got to do this, you ain't got to do that. Okay, go for what you want.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
That was cool,
I love it.
Go for it.
I love it. So let's transition. We talked about, Milton, you give me a time of how long we've been on. Just hit the 6:11. I want to go from you looking up to, grandpa or mother and what you've learned to now being the dad. As you being the dad, raising your kids with, your wife, looking back, I'm curious to know, what was the biggest challenge you had raising your kids? Like, as a man, connecting with other men, what would be the one thing you said, man, that was hard?
Nothing. Nothing, because I enjoyed racing. I enjoyed racing.
Yeah.
Kids.
So y'all never had no life situation, like to give you one of the hardest things I had while I was dating Tina, because this is the year before we got married, is when I lost mama. That was hard.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know who's watching this. Tina still got to deal with that because it's so hard for me, right? The pandemic was hard. So I know we're conquerors and we win in and we're going to get it done. But I'm curious to connect with another man. Have you ever went through a life situation? I know we went through hurricanes and tornadoes and loved ones have been lost. Was there anything where you can reflect on and be like, man, that was a tough time and this is what I did to get over it? That's what I'm trying to reach.
Well, I mean, doing it, man, I can't really think of nothing. Because everything we got, everything we wanted, we did it. Mm-hmm. And we were simple about it, but still, I keep talking, going back to God. It was all God.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing that we did. We just believed him and asked him for the stuff and did it. I did the things he said do to get these things and got them,
Yeah.
Even down to getting houses. We got, 3-4 houses same
Yeah.
time. We had 3-4 house notes.
Yeah.
Because we saw the word housing in the Bible. I give you houses.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not really trying to preach the Bible, but the word, that's what your living life is. The biblical, the acronym for Bible, biblical instruction before leaving earth. We can go on YouTube and get instructions on how to fix stuff. But but then we go to biblical instruction, the one who made us, and then we can learn a lot of stuff. But we don't look at it as a storybook. Look at it like, this is what he's telling me now.
Yeah, that's good.
And he can give you revelation knowledge on it.
I love it. I love it.
That's good.
I got one for you. Milton Lamont Green was born. Mm-hmm. That's your first son.
Yes.
What was that like?
That was cool. She wanted.
Because I know you wanted a girl.
No, first I wanted a girl, but then after that, I just wanted to make sure they had 10 toes and 10 fingers and mouth and nose and all that.
Yeah.
That's it.
So when
I didn't care if it was a girl or boy.
with your relationship with your father having Milton, did you feel like it was something that you wanted to do different, or was it just you just wanted the 10 toes and 10 fingers?
No, well, he looked at Milton differently because Milton also was the name of his daddy. So I remember when he brought Milton as a baby and.
So great-grandfather name was Milton. Okay.
So he was fascinated. So we brought him as a baby. I didn't know if he needed any eyeglasses and stuff. He picked him up and held him up in the air, and the sun was shining on him. And that's how he got the name Kunta Kinte.
Yeah. Well, we're spilling all of it on y'all today.
That's how he got that name, And we started calling him Coon. It was a baby.
Yeah.
And,
do you think with men specifically, well, I'm not going to go there. Let me ask this question because we're still on the family. With your kids, let's talk about these fishing trips. So you had, I think it's interesting because I know the answer, but we had these fishing trips. We would go to Galveston, rollover paths, have these tents. This is before iPhones and iPads. You bring dominoes, a couple G.I. Joes, and you have to deal with the mosquitoes and everything else, right? What was that like? Were those trips booked based upon I want my family to be together, or that's just what you wanted to do?
That's what I wanted to do. Because I never got a chance to do those things when I was a kid. The only thing I ever did was went camping.
Yeah.
I wanted to go fishing. I wanted to learn how to fish, and people would tell me, I'm going to take you fishing, but nobody would never take me fishing. So I had to break out and do it on my own. Yeah. And as an adult, then I want to go camp out. But the good thing about it, a lot of wives, women do not want to deal with fish and stuff like that. I had a wife that didn't mind coming and catch up fish and stuff like that, Yeah. And that was cool because we take everybody. Yeah. And you always didn't want to go, but when you didn't want to go, you want to catch a couple of flounders and go lay back in the tent and then come back, catch a couple of fish. I ain't the only one catching, so I didn't even want to go.
It's funny how things work, man. I always, looking back, okay, how do I want to word this to the father, to the mother? Looking back, I always thought that was strategic. I always thought that we did these fishing trips and we would go to rollover paths because my dad didn't want to do a guy's trip, or he knew the importance of keeping all his family together, and they would travel and have to communicate, and then they would spend days without being, distracted and disconnected from all business and school. That it's kind of cool to hear now. He was like, man, I was just trying to have some good times on fishing because that's what I wanted to do. And I think me as a parent now, I'm sometimes overlooking the process, Dad. I sometimes strategically try to do things because I think my mother and father strategically planned all this out. And sometimes it was just doing what y'all were doing. And it made us who we were. It did help us disconnect from whatever we were dealing with. It did help us communicate as siblings together and make us closer. It did force us to, hang with each other versus hanging with our friends on the street. So now I do have the value of doing that with my own sons and with my own family. But it's so cool to hear that. So that's my encouragement for you guys is don't think every plan as a parent you need to strategically plan out. Man, some of the things that you do, you need to do because it's fun for you.
Mm-hmm.
Milton brought up something in the last podcast. I want to ask you. I don't recall you ever doing God trips.
I tell you something. I used to when we first got married. We did.
Look at it.
Guys go out, and I remember I can call his name Smitty because he can be the only one witness.
What's up, Smitty?
And when went out with the jazz, jazz club and stuff, and then we stopped back. He had me stop back by his house for a nightcap, and we was out in the front of his house, on his driveway, just talking. Mm-hmm. Now, one agreement we had always made, me and your mama, was that we can go out. The club closed at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
You need to get your buddy home.
Yeah.
2:30. Maybe get you a hamburger on the way or something like that. Okay. Never stay out all night.
Yeah.
That was a no-no. So we stand on this parking lot, just talking about the job, talking about people that work, and I paying attention to the time. I looked up, it was 6 o'clock. I'm like, whoa, man, I was trying to make it home before it got dark. It was before they built a big bridge. You had to get off on Dale to come in there. And man, by the time I got off on Dale, the sun just looked like it bounced about the stuff.
Yeah.
So I come home and see what y'all getting y'all ready for school. And hey, honey, you want some breakfast? I was scared. No, ain't no breakfast.
I ain't eating that. I don't know what you put in there.
Anyway, but it took 23 years to bring that up.
Yeah.
So, you told me that if I'd have did that, you'd have said I've been doing something else. I said, I told you the truth, and Smitty is my witness. I said, but that stopped me. Because here I am out with guys where I could have been at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that stopped. That's the last time I did that.
Yeah.
Last time I went out with guys.
I think
I didn't have to go out no more.
Danny Marino, thank you for coming on to the show, man. We talked a little bit about it. And he was just like, man, I got grown man stuff to do. I got a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So now on the flip side, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I like God trips. I like getting my guys together. We try to go to one football game away to travel, but also for us, let's dive into this after I finish this. Hold on, Dad. Hold on. Let me finish this because I don't want to forget it. After we finish this, I might have forgot it. After we finish this, I want to dive into this subject. Part of the reason why my guys and Danny brought this up, Dad, and I'm curious to see what you say, it's really important to answer a man call when another man call you because it might be their way of telling you some heartfelt things that they're going through. Mm-hmm. I've noticed the times that me and my boys go on trips, we don't text each other and call each other every day or every night or every week. But when we go on a guy's trip, that's when you'll kind of hear, man, I'm really going through this, or man, I've been through this. So that's part of the reason why I like going on guys' trips. What did you do if you didn't travel a lot with your peers? This is when I'm guessing you're in your mid 40s and up. I don't remember you doing guy trips, right? Mm-hmm. How did you communicate about men stuff that you went through personally? Did you just hold that in, or did you?
No, sometimes I talk to my mother about it.
This is after mother though.
Okay, well, I had to deal with it.
You just dealt with it.
Sometimes you tell guys different things, but you got you feed a very few people in your lifetime. See, I think the reason y'all did it because y'all growed up together. Y'all been, I think one guy that I grew up with, he stays in Huntsville, and we talk maybe a couple times a year. But the rest of the guys I know, they either gone or I couldn't find nobody I went to high school with.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it might be because of computers, but y'all grew up together, so y'all got that closeness. Mm-hmm. I think about it. I think when I was 8 years old, I had this friend. He was 24, and he taught me a lot of things. He taught me how to roof houses. He taught me a lot. He ain't married, had a wife too, and some kids, but he taught me a lot of things. And he kept me in my space. He didn't try to entice me to do anything that, above my age. He taught me structure.
Yeah.
And I learned from guys like that. Then another time I had a friend, he was like 21, I was like 17. He taught me the club scene.
Chili.
Yeah.
He created Chili then.
Well, he called me
I like Chili, guys. I want y'all to call me Chili one day. But you know what, Dad? I think with I Am Alpha, so the reason for this whole podcast and this show is for us to teach men not to bottle things up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that the thing for this, guys, is what I'm getting to is I'm always curious, and I'm going to ask you a question to respond to this. I'm always curious to see how my dad, because I look at him as a giant. I look at him as someone that's defeated everything that has came his way. So it's always cool to get an authentic approach on how he felt, because right now I'm 36. I could not have a conversation with you when you were 36 and I'm 36 at the same time. It's just, I couldn't. I was 2 probably at that time. So it's cool now to hear your approach. So I want to say this with this being on this show, and then we're going to wrap it up with some quick hitters. I feel that I feel like we can all, because I'm not putting this on you, bro, it's me too. I feel that besides our faith, whatever your faith is, we pray, we believe, and we long for God to speak to us, communicate through us, and provide and secure. But I also believe that there's vessels in your life that want the best for you. And somebody out there, Dad, this is where I want to ask you the question. I'm going to tie it in together. There's somebody out there that didn't grow up with a whole bunch of homies or siblings, and they're by themselves. Besides our faith, besides our prayer, who can you physically go talk to at a tough time? You're like, okay, better question. Me being your son, if I came to you today and said, man, Dad, there are some things about me and Tina that I'm really challenged with, and because you love Tina so much, I don't feel open enough to talk to you about it. And I can't go talk to Mr. Bailey about it. Mm-hmm. Who can I go talk to? What would you tell me?
You talk to God.
Besides God?
Besides God, well.
Should I bottle it in and just pray?
You tell somebody. You tell somebody to get it out.
So you do believe in communicating with somebody?
Communicate with somebody, because sometimes somebody else's opinion. Now, the bottom line is that you make your own decision, but sometimes somebody else's opinion will show you another side of the story where you can see a different opinion.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, make your own opinion. Never listen to what somebody else tell you, where you be saying, oh, I'm sorry, I listened to so-and-so. Always say, I made that decision, even right or wrong, I made that decision.
Right.
You can't blame it on nobody else, because the blame game starting in the garden. To make your own decision, but sometimes I would do like your mother. I used to have opinions on different things, and then she always said, if I was you,
yeah.
I do
the same thing.
And then I like to listen and say, hey, that's a better idea than what I had, And I would go and say, thank you, and give the people credit. And then they don't mind helping you when you seem like you're accepting some of their knowledge. Yeah. But anyway, in my life, I got where I felt like I had nobody to talk to but God. And that's something my mother instilled in me, that, hey, one day I'm going to be gone. And you always have God. So you always know you can go talk to God about things. And sometimes, and God will show himself strong in your life if you believe it.
I agree. I think also, too, with that being said, guys, you just find your place of peace, right? And for me, man, when I'm so busy on my mentality, working on the next thing, next project, the next post, the next training, the next hour, that sometimes I get sidetracked on just disconnecting and literally fall into a place of surrender. And I think some of us, man, we get to a place where we move so much that we forget to kind of surrender. And when I say surrender, it's not from a standpoint of giving up. It's from a standpoint of letting go of everything else that's distracting you. So for me, it's easy for me to get to a place of surrender when I go to church or in my car by myself, because I don't have as many distractions. At the same time, I do want you guys to be encouraged to not isolate yourself, man. That's what I'm saying. In better words, Dad, like, some of my darkest moments, I was isolated. I believe you saying the same thing at home, bro. Some of your darkest moments, you're isolated. I always hear my dad tell this story to one of my sisters. Put on a dress, go to the Galleria, go shop, buy something, take it back, get out. You know, I believe the same thing when it comes to life, man. If life is really boring and dull if you sharing it with just yourself. And I believe if you can develop a relationship with people and you gain a trust factor, then you found your place at a position where you can then explain and communicate and get the other side, as he said my mother did. So Dad, let's finish here and then we'll do some quick hitters. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. A couple weeks ago, you got married to Tawana. Tawana, what's up if you're on and watching this? Congratulations. What was that like? And I don't want to jump because this is very, deep niched for you. But one of the things you kind of told me was like, man, I want to be able to talk to somebody and communicate. What was that to you as we're talking about isolation? Was that important for you to find a evenly yoked woman to share the same dreams and have the same thoughts? Can you share some insight on that?
Yeah, well, I was single, preparing your mother went to heaven, I was single for 9 years. And a lot of times I caught myself walking around the house talking to God 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed about 5, getting up at 8 or 9. So I wasn't sleeping but 2 or 3 hours a night. And I was talking to God about that, because I wouldn't be sleeping. I was reading the Bible, whatever I was doing, walking around the house from room to room. Anyway, it was just something, what I learned from it was God, through God, because that's something I prayed about, and I still want to bring God in, because I take God in everything I do. If I can talk to you 15 minutes and never mention the name of God, something wrong with our conversation. But I prayed about it. God told me what not to do, and then dating was cool. Dating was cool. In dating, I've learned that you get to know that person before saying I do.
Of course.
You know them with their dislikes, and you sharing your dislikes, and talking through these dislikes, and getting to know the person. You know. And then one thing, I want to be frank with you here. Can I get real here? Okay. One morning I was brushing my teeth, and I thought about it, and God said, "You wait till you get married." I know what He was talking about. Yeah. But I just, okay, God, I kept on brushing my teeth. I'm getting ready to go preach. So in the sermon, I was getting ready to close out with number 7. Number 7 was, we've been around this mountain long enough. I was talking about it to Moses. And I was going to tell the church, we've been around this mountain long enough. And then I blurted that out. Why did you make me say that? He said, wait till you get married. And everybody looked at strange, where is this coming from? I tried to blend it in, but I couldn't blend it in. I just closed it out, opened the salvation. Make a long story short, when I got back home, I talked to God about that. I heard you, Lord, the first time. Then he revealed to me that anytime He said something 2 times, like very, very, truly, truly, I'm going to give you this. And He said 2 times, He really mean it. So I looked at that and I said, okay, I put that in the back of my head, that's my mind. Okay, I'm waiting till I get married. It's the first time God ever talked to me about anything like that in my life. And I asked Him why. He showed me in 1 Samuel, Eli's sons was doing that in messing with their issues and taking the best of doing it. And then I said, I was back Old Testament. He brought me back to New Testament and showed me where I'm having that Lord's Supper. He said, for this cause, as you do it unworthy, many are sick, weakly, and some sleep, meaning some die. I do not take any medication. I do not take nothing. Every time the doctor give me a bad deal, we go find another doctor say, ain't nothing wrong with you. I know that all behind God. That ain't me. That's God. At my age, I'm not taking nothing to survive. So I know it's God. So in the back of my head, this ain't nothing I'm gonna do to break that.
So you saying basically with our faith that you're not supposed to have intimacy before you get married.
Right.
And with that being said, I wanted to tie this into the question I was asking you. Do you feel with Tawana, I'm gonna say it the way that you said it, you were walking around the house late nights just praying by yourself, not going to sleep? Do you feel now making that commitment with Tawana that now communicating and the times y'all hang out and spend together, do you feel like you're more isolated now, or do you have someone more evenly yoked to talk to and communicate with?
I guess somebody more equally yoked, and somebody that I feel is on my side and I'm on the other side,
and that's what it's about, guys.
Just communicating is the big thing.
That's what I wanted to get out of them. Is one of those things, man, where when you you put yourself in a position to be isolated. Now, we talk in marriage with him, but I want to talk to you specifically about isolation, right? The more you're walking around the house, not growing, the quicker you are to die. And I'm just saying how it is. I believe we're like trees. Every day that a tree grows, a tree lives. The day a tree starts dying is the day the tree stops growing. And I told my dad this and Tawana at their wedding. I said, man, y'all meeting the opportunity for a growth moment. And I'm so proud of you and I'm happy for you because you both are now reaching a growth moment. So with you, man, if you're looking for growth, we're using relationship as an example, but I want to talk to you about your business. I want to talk to you about your health. I want to talk to you about your mental challenges. I want to talk to you about your spirit. I want to talk to you about your emotion. Get to a growth moment. And the way you get to a growth moment is not by going by yourself. A growth moment is getting to someone where they give you wise counsel. To be like my dad, to tie in scripture with that for those that believe in the same faith that we believe, it teaches you that you should seek wise counsel. Not counsel, but wise counsel. Amen. If you seek wise counsel, it gives you guidance to help you grow. So that's my encouragement and that's my hope and prayer for us to be on the I Am Alpha is to be wise counsel. Pops, let's finish with some quick hitters and then we're out of here. Sounds good? Yeah. So quick hitter I have for Milton, number one, is, let's go that wide. Who was the child you whooped the most and why?
I don't think I whipped nobody a lot.
But who was it's a child, come on. What child you was like, man, I had to whoop her or him the most?
Now, I tell you, on this kid, they got a lot more whooping than the little child was Milton.
Yeah, Milton. All right. Second question I got for you. What child did you buy the newest car for and why?
Shannon.
Yeah.
Because Shannon was a girl.
Yeah.
And she didn't need nothing to break down on her.
Yeah. Y'all bought Desi a bad car too, though.
Yeah, she's a girl too.
Yeah. Y'all bought Desi.
Y'all got used cars.
Yeah, we sure did.
Because we had to teach y'all how to get it for yourself.
Yeah.
So y'all got y'all start just to let you know to push it.
Okay, third question.
Let's say this to it. Boys will lay down on you if you let them.
Yeah.
Girls, you need to treat them like princesses so if they get married, they know how a man's supposed to treat them and take some stuff off of them. I don't want to say it crap, but take some stuff off of them. They need to know how they're supposed to be treated.
I agree.
If a man threatens to hit you, you better tell him something crazy. Yeah. Because all you're doing is building his nerves up to do it.
Yeah, that's going to be another series.
Okay.
Third question I have for you. Why did you buy yourself a Dodge Caravan and me a Jetta versus you getting that Navigator that you wanted?
Because that makes good sense. You know, why buy one car if I can get two? You know, and then you need a car, I needed a car, so let's get two cars. I can go get a Navigator and be selfish and ride around in the Navigator. Yeah. You know, but that wasn't important. I get the Caravan because they can hold everybody. Yeah. He had two side doors.
He like vans, y'all. He like vans. All right, fourth question out of 8. What did you think every morning you had to wake up to go to work?
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, sometimes I thought about my dad. He pushed. He pushed. He got up, regardless, weather, cold, whatever. He got up, he pushed. And I think about him. Now, I had an uncle I thought about, too, that pushed like that.
I'm glad he was open to say that because there's previous episodes where Milton or I said the same exact thing. The reason why we got up was because of why? Because our dad woke up. So I'm glad you said that. Question number 5 I have for you is what fear have you ever overcome? It can be a small fear, big fear.
I'm scared of snakes still.
Yeah.
That's a fear that I have.
But you shoot them, not shoot them, but you killed them.
I kill them, you know, and it's bruises every head, and when you kill the snake, I'm about to get in his head.
Yeah, I like it. Next question I have for you: what part of the world you haven't been to that you want to go to?
No, I used to want to go overseas. I'll tell you where I like to go. I like to go to what's that? Jamaica, the Bay. What's that? Panama Bay or I forgot the name.
Montego Bay?
Montego Bay.
Okay.
I like to go to Montego Bay, Jamaica, and that's where I used to want to go to Rio, but I later told me to stay out of Rio. Yeah. But I would like to go to Montego Bay and on what they call an exclusive resort.
Gotcha.
All right. Like to do that. Now, there's some places I like to go in the United States too, but out of the country, that's the only place I like to go.
All right, last two questions. I want to make these not as cookie cutter, but something that we can give them some meat to leave home with.
Okay.
As a father that has daughters, what was the thing you looked for when a guy came what thing did you look for when a guy came to took your daughter out?
Well, you know, you need to make that guy know that this girl is very well respected in his house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he honor that, you know. And you let him know that your presence is that valuable, you know, talk to him a little bit. But you ain't got to, you know, threaten him or nothing, but you just let him know, you know. And that has a good impact on that guy, how a guy treat a girl when she go out, you know.
So Milton, I can't bring that 9 whenever Asia have her first date. I'm saying that jokingly, guys, as a joke, as a joke. All right, last question. What things, let's switch the card around. What things you look for in a woman that's dating your sons?
That's a good one. Well, first of all, if they love each other, if they like them, I love them. The second thing is just hey, if they good for each other, you know, hey, I'm not picking, you know, I'm not pick. I don't pick for you. If you got them, it's good. You know, and that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, can I add something to that?
Yeah.
And it's probably a little bit different from that question. I was talking to some young ladies anyway. People have to realize sometimes guys they single and they want to get married, but then some guys they try to talk to them. There's some guys they know they never want to be with, you know, just by looking at them or whatever the case may be. But I want to say something to them. Treat those guys nice, and then just tell them you're in a relationship. You are in a relationship. You're in a relationship with Jesus Christ. Treat them nice, because you reap that, because you run into that guy that you wouldn't mind being with, and then he treats you raggedy. And you want to know what's going on with you, and then you start doubting yourself. Yeah. And the same thing with men. You know, be nice to all women. All women. I don't care how they look. You know, treat them nice. You ain't trying to go with them. You're just trying to be nice to them as women. You know, open the door for a woman. You know, you don't want to see that no more. You know.
You know what, guys? We're gonna have to have a love series. This is Dr. Love. Y'all see, he want to talk about relationship. He a newlywed though. He want to talk about love. He want to talk, you know. But everything he's saying is 100% correct, man. We are gonna work our best. I know our next series is gonna be a series talking about the voice of an unspoken man. But I definitely wanted to highlight my father today on a standpoint of his journey. You know, this wasn't a show where we wanted to necessarily get him to teach us about fatherhood. I just wanted to interview him so you know this cool guy that I will continue to refer to. Other than that, man, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe. In conclusion, I'll leave it with you. Is there anything you want to ask me as we get out of here?
You know, I think, you know, it's good. It's good to experience that. You know, I never had talked this type of conversation with anybody. Most of the time when you try to talk to your younger generation, you know, they look like you old school, man. It was back then, it's back there, you know. But a lot of things have changed with technology, but things ain't changed with people, you know.
Nothing new under the sun.
And sometimes we meet people and we call them as friends too quick. Friends is something earned. Friends ain't nothing you need to make right then. Friends is earned over a period of time. And the main thing, then I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop. Thinking back, when we first got strong in Christianity, I used to read stuff, all the stuff about the man, all the stuff about the woman, really. Mm-hmm. The woman's supposed to do this, the woman's supposed to do that, the woman's supposed to do that. And I used to quote that stuff. Yeah. And like, where you find that at? It says in the Bible, it's so-and-so, so-and-so. And they go read it and come back and say, hey, you know what? You were right. Man wasn't supposed to do all that. But the man's supposed to do this, the man's supposed to do that. Man, I never read the man part. I just read the woman part. But when I read the man part and I seen what he was saying there, it would even show me where if I don't treat her like he said treat her, even my prayers is being hindered. Yeah. So I took another approach there. I wasn't saying, I'm the man. And he said, hey, you come together as two. I got her from your side, not for you to dominate her, for her to help me through from you. Under your arm so you can protect her from near your heart so you can love her. I'm stopping right there.
This is Love a Man. We were going to end it. He was supposed to ask me a question. He brought it back to love. But he's telling the truth, man. You know, from a standpoint of, you know, to get what you want from a woman, you got to produce what you're supposed to produce as a man. And that's our belief. So I'm going to ask you again, is there anything you want to ask me before we get out of here, or are we out?
Well, one more thing I want to say about love. The Bible says, love your enemies. Pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. When you start praying for your enemies, you end up loving them. And I know that's supernatural. Know you got an enemy and you love them. So love, you know, love opens up a lot of doors for you. Yeah. And it opened up a lot of doors for me. You know, I get a lot of, I think I call it favor from God for just loving people and doing wise things to inform and doing wise things around them.
I love it.
So that's about it. I'm not a love doctor, but love is.
Love doctor, y'all. He acting like he ain't love doctor. He want to talk about love.
Love is the key, though. Yeah. Love is the key to all things. It says love covers a multitude of sin in the Bible.
That's good. That's good.
So anyway.
Well, guys, I think that's it. Again, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Next week, we'll do a recap with me about all the men that I had on, and I'll be able to kind of dissect what they said. But again, shout out to my pops. Very appreciative that you came on and gave us some wisdom. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you guys. Stay blessed. And take care.
All right.